Hello, Kit Kats, it's me, Vince, and come to my attention recently that in the art community and even just the OC community, there's been a lot of hate being spread around. Now, if you've ever interacted with the art community, especially on TikTok, you'd know that there is a lot of toxic ideologies on there. A lot of people will shame others based on art styles and techniques and even who or how they draw. And it's just an incredibly toxic place, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other artists. However, you'd never expect a community based on creativity and the original experience to be getting a lot of hate, especially since it's always been semi-accepting. OCs means original character, if you aren't familiar with the term. And I have spent my whole life creating OCs, creating fictional stories, just writing, drawing, animating. It's my whole life, basically. I'd like to consider it my special interest. It's something I'm just constantly thinking about. And when I say OCs, I'm not just talking about my own creations, but everyone else's creations. I know all my friends' OCs by heart. I encourage them to make more. I love going online and supporting as many OC creators as I can find. It's really uplifting to see other people take on a hobby that I have done my whole life. There are countless videos of me when I just started speaking, talking about characters and what you would consider an OC. It's a part of my life, I would consider. And to see this much hate start around them really makes me sad. Now obviously there's always been hate surrounding OCs, especially since OCs is a big part of the internet, and on the internet there's always going to be some sort of hate. The most well-known OC drama, I'd say, is Mary Sue's, which is a term that refers to an OC which is quote-unquote too powerful or overpowered, and who doesn't have any problems, and who's just overly happy, I'd say. Normally it's associated with rainbows or hybrids or gacha OCs in general. The term isn't really used anymore, and people have come to really love Mary Sue OCs, which I'm incredibly happy with. I love Mary Sue OCs. But since then, I don't think there's ever been a really big spike in OC hate, I'd say. However, recently, I've been seeing a lot more posts on TikTok of just people bashing other people's OCs. So today, I'd like to come on here and review a couple videos I picked out when researching for this video, and also just deconstruct what is an OC. Being incredibly critical of OCs, as these videos are doing, is just sort of pointless and just being rude for no reason. To start off, I like to go over what an OC exactly is. I touched on it briefly in the introduction, but I'd like to go more in depth on it. OC stands for original character. It's an internet term that's been around for quite a while, I'd say, since around the beginning of the 2000s. There are different types of OCs. There is the completely original OC, a character that someone makes up completely on their own and makes up the story and the lore and the interactions and relationships of that character completely on their own with no base on anything else. Then there's the fandom OCs, which is an OC made to be in a certain story. For example, there are My Hero Academia fandom OCs, or I've even seen a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen OCs, any OC that would fit in a story. These are typically the OCs I see the most hate towards, specifically because people normally count them as being overpowered, or trying to quote-unquote replace the main character. Now, I'm not going to be talking much about fandom OCs because I'm not that big into the fandom OC space. I've only made a couple, and I don't really interact with a lot of other people who make fandom OCs, but if that is a video topic that you'd like me to go over, then I'll go over it. And then there's also personas and fursonas. Personas is an OC that represents someone. Normally it's used for artists or writers or faceless creators as a way to represent themselves. It's how they want the viewers to see them. It's important to note that a persona is not used if the artist is quote-unquote ugly or too self-conscious. It's just a way for faceless creators to better communicate with their audience. It has nothing to do with appearance, but how they want to be perceived. And honestly, in the most case, it normally has to do more with safety than appearance, since a lot of people just don't want to put their face on the internet. A fursona is a persona if the persona was a furry. It's basically just furry slang for any type of persona who is also an animal or anthropomorphic in some way. Now, where do OCs come from? From my experience, OCs can actually come from a variety of different places. A lot of people seem to think that OCs come from one place, which is someone wanting to make a story or someone wanting to have a fandom of some sort, which is actually untrue in my experience. OCs can obviously come from stories, I know mine do, where someone wants to tell a story or represent something and be able to make their own experiences into fiction. This, I say, is the most common OC, someone who makes up an OC for a story. Like, characters that are in fiction, for example in books, movies, etc. However, a lot of people also make OCs simply for fun. For example, a lot of my friends draw and make OCs as a way to entertain themselves, or as a way to just have another topic to talk with their friends about. I see a lot of people, especially online, just make up OCs for the fun of it, to animate animation memes to them, or just as a way to express themselves. Not even a story, but themselves. This also ties back to the persona. A lot of people make OCs as a way to express themselves, not their experiences, but them as a person. Making OCs and turning them into personas is incredibly common, and a lot of animators do it. And the final reason I came up with is a trauma response, actually. A lot of people make OCs as a form to deal with struggles or trauma. And I think this is the most important point that a lot of people forget. It's that this way to cope is a lot more common than people would think. I know so many people, including myself, who make specific characters as a way to cope with something. And a lot of the time, these OCs are labeled as angst slop, or even just badly written, when in reality, they don't want to be a canon character, they are just there to help the creator deal with certain things. Before I go on and start talking about the videos I found talking about OCs, I'd like to say that in this video I am not talking about problematic OCs in any way. When I mention OCs, I mean ones who the creator has done extensive research on, and that doesn't rely on stereotypes or any other harmful information. Any OC which is used specifically for rage bait or built on stereotypes or any other problematic sense is automatically not a valid OC in my opinion. OCs are built on the individual person, it's their artistic expression. If you're going to make an OC to hate on other people, then that is not an OC, at least in my view. So now I'd like to go over the videos. No, not all OCs are creative and have a good design. Stop glazing. This is the first video I found, and I have a specific problem with it. I do agree with the fact that not all OCs are creative. Since there are a lot of OCs, and it's specifically an internet term, and a lot of people go to the internet for inspiration, a lot of OCs do end up being similar to each other. This is what happens when people reference other things, it's human. So a lot of the times, not many OCs are creative. Adding on to this, not many people want their OCs to be creative, in a sense. A lot of people find comfort and just enjoyment out of making human OCs, people who could easily exist in everyday life. This isn't a problem, and I feel like a lot of people online take it as a problem, that someone making a bland OC automatically doesn't know what an OC is and is just uncreative. I do agree with the fact that not all OCs are creative, but my main problem with this video is the caption and what the creator says in the comments. The caption says, "Stop glazing and trying to force people into thinking it's good." Just because an OC is quote-unquote creative doesn't mean it's inherently bad. Take movies, for example. A lot of main protagonists in incredible movies are just basic-looking white guys, people you'd see on the streets every day or that you know yourself. Their designs are incredibly boring, I'll be for real. But that doesn't mean their character and their story is boring or uncreative. Talking about their designs and saying that an OC is only good if they have a good design is just a stereotype of an OC in my opinion. By judging an OC based on their quote-unquote creative or uncreative design, you're literally following the rule of don't judge the book by its cover. You're judging an OC by how they look and not what they are. In the comments, a top comment says, "Uncreative does not equal bad. I love all not problematic OCs." And the creator responded with, "I didn't say it's bad, but what's the point of making something if it's not creative?" This, again, kind of contradicts their point completely. They're saying that if an OC is not creative, then what's the point of making it? And again, like I've already mentioned, OCs are not just for stories. A lot of them can be for personas, self-expression, just for fun and creativity, or even as a trauma response. Just because an OC is not creative and wouldn't fit well in a fictional story does not mean they wouldn't fit well as a way of someone self-expressing themselves. And again, to reiterate, some of the best stories are those cozy, homey stories that feel like something that someone every day would go through. It's realistic, it's safe. You really shouldn't be picky and judgy on an OC just because they don't fit your standard of creativity. The next video is this one. I don't have many problems with this video, I'd say. I'd really just complain that it's really unmotivational. I feel like a big problem a lot of beginners at OCs have is not wanting to share their OCs because of hate or slander. At least that's how a lot of my friends feel. By making videos like this and being honestly really negative, you're just enforcing the fear that some people have of being judged or considered boring or unoriginal. Imagine you make an OC and you're incredibly proud of it. It's the first OC you've ever made. You go show it to your friend and then they make a post like this and make it so everyone can see. I know I'd at least feel incredibly demotivated to make another OC. It's really minor, I know, and it's just someone expressing how they're tired of the same OC trope over and over again. But an OC is not for you, it's for the creator, at least most of the time it is. I understand the frustration if this OC is to later become a story, because that is an overused story niche. However, if it is an OC just for fun, I really don't see why you're hating on your own friend because of it. The caption being, "No hate to them, just please be more original," is also kind of counterproductive. It's basically just saying the phrase, "no offense," but when clearly the phrase is to offend someone. There are more positive and creative ways on making a video complaining about OC stereotypes than to call a certain point out and just make a lot of people feel bad for them. As many people in the comments are saying, they're going, no, I swear there's more to it," or "okay, let me delete the lore again." Sure, you can kind of interpret this as sort of a bean soup theory comment section, but I personally view it as a ton of beginner OC creators being demotivated time and time again to make OCs. A lot of OC creators start off making these really bad OCs, at least I know I did. The first OCs I ever made were hybrid OCs, similar to the ones that you'd see from Gacha. I feel like a big problem with the community is they like to shut down beginners in general, not only in the art community but the OC community now too. There's this constant attention of what's cringe and what's not cringe that it causes a lot of beginners to shut themselves off and not want to show their art with the world, and that's how they get better. If a beginner OC creator doesn't show their art and get valid, healthy criticism, then they'll never grow, and they'll either continue to make bad OCs or never make an OC again. There are other people in the comments saying, "I know it's super unoriginal, but it's my biggest guilty pleasure, please." Again, reiterating the idea that a lot of OCs are just for fun, or as a coping mechanism, or even just because the person was bored and they wanted to make a little guy. I really don't see any positive of making videos like this other than it just spreading hate. If you're frustrated, then tell your friends about it, your close friends or your family, or just send it to your moods or something. Don't make a whole post about it. It will demotivate so many different people.
5 songs play on the radio station. The same 5 songs. The same 5 songs. The radio station, they play the same 5 songs. The same 5 songs. The same 5 songs. The radio station, they play the.
This video kind of follows the same opinion I had with the last one, but I do have a certain thing to add. Again, don't make a video online bashing someone's own personal characters. You have no right to judge their characters when you don't even know them. It's just judging them on their looks. You don't know the person, you don't know the character, you don't know what the creator is going through, and you don't know what the OC actually is at its core. But for this one, I do have a healthy criticism to add. Instead of making videos like this that are very clearly negative and just stump creators even more and put them in an even bigger art block, I'd honestly recommend doing the opposite. Making videos calling out certain aspects of OCs, like, oh, you can't have an American OC, that's so boring, or you can't give your OC short hair, that's also overused. You can instead just say specific things you'd love to add to OCs. For example, if you really want more OCs to have moth wings, you could put in a video, hey, I'd love if more OCs had these features, and put them instead. Not only will the video automatically be more positive, but it'd also just be a lot more helpful to OC creators. By making a hateful video like this, you're not only stumping them, but causing them to run out of ideas. Making OC creators think, oh, my OC is unoriginal, I don't know what to do about it. But by making a positive video like I mentioned, instead of forcing them to want to change their characters out of embarrassment, you're giving them ideas. They can then go, oh, maybe I should add moth wings to my character, it could make them more unique. You're giving them an option instead of forcing them, and it's not only more healthy, but it allows the creator to grow. A lot of these videos have captions saying, don't get me wrong, these are great, but, and I do think this statement is really counterproductive again. If you have to add but to a statement, or no offense, or anything of that genre, then your statement automatically is to offend and is negative. I feel like us as a community really need to focus more on making more positive videos about OCs, especially because there are beginners everywhere, and if they constantly see these hateful videos, they're just going to be more and more demotivated. I know this because I was a beginner, and so were you, and so was everyone who ever made an OC. They were a beginner at one point, and to think that there could be geniuses in the art community right now that are shutting themselves off because you decided to make one impulsive post about OCs this and OCs that is really hurtful to me. Again, I could just be really paranoid and over-exaggerating things, but considering how the world is today, I feel like we need a lot less hate and a lot more empowerment. I know that may seem a little cheesy and might seem like it won't ever happen, and maybe it won't, but it really doesn't hurt to try. I don't want to end this video in a state of all doom and gloom, however, and thankfully, recently I have been seeing a lot more OC-friendly trends erupt. Videos like badly explaining my OC lore have started to pop off more, and even trends such as, I forgot the trend, but it's the river one, I'll put it here. They make it so it's more friendly for OC creators to show off their characters. The sudden burst of underground animators appearing is also really good, since that forces animators to start to make their own characters to represent themselves. While doing research for this video, I also found that it was really hard to find videos hating on OCs, which did make me a lot happier. Although I've been seeing a lot of comments about it and a lot of videos about it when actively searching for it, all those videos were either put down or had been removed completely. But it's really empowering to see so many people go online and post videos about how ungrateful and ruthless the art community is, especially towards OCs. I feel like us as a whole need to help those artists out a little bit more. I've been noticing that a lot of OC art accounts have incredibly low followers compared to others that post fan art. And this makes sense, obviously, because people don't know your OCs and they'd much prefer to look at fandom OCs. But I feel like we as a community could really help empower those people, even by just reposting or putting a quick comment. It takes nothing to put a comment saying this is incredible in all caps, and not only would it help the creators' engagement, but it also helped their self-esteem. All this to say, I think we need to help OCs out a little bit more. And it is good to see places like OC Social Network start to get more popular. An art fight over in June. I really wish we could do more. So, all of this to say, maybe next time you see an OC post on your feed with low likes and barely any comments, you don't even have to follow them. Just add a like, add a comment, maybe even repost it, and tell the creator that they're doing good and that their OC is good. Because in times like these, where everything in the world seems to be going horribly wrong, maybe a simple, nice comment from a stranger would help. But yeah, that's all for today. I'm sorry for the mini rant. I've just been noticing the surge of hate, and it's really been ticking me off recently. I hope you all have a great day. Bye, Kit Kats.